Wait sir, mamaya muna i-share kasi mag-house rules pa po muna eh. So before po tayo mag-start, I'd like to welcome our Sir Presbong is here, our speaker, Sir Renzi Padernal. Of course, as members of the board, some of the members of the board are also here. And of course, Ma'am Praxedis Bernardo of PRC is also here with us today. So good afternoon po lahat. So far, we are 265 attendees po and counting. So madadagdagan pa ho yan mamaya. So welcome po on our 4th webinar lecture series day. So to give you our welcome remarks, Presbong.
Okay, thank you, Sir Eric. So it's Thursday, huh? So this is the 4th day of our PICE webinar lecture series. Okay, so hindi pa pala ako nakuha, no? Good afternoon to everyone. So naimbag na malam kada kayo amin sa Ilocos banda, no? Tapos Bicol, ano ba 'yon? Diyos marahay na hapon sa Indogabos. Okay? So maayong hapon sa inyo tanan diha sa Mindanao. Diri sa Mindanao. Because I'm here in Davao right now. Okay, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for attending the session on project management and construction engineering, no, for this PICE webinar lecture series this week. So my colleagues, our continuing professional development should not really stop, no, or should not be put on hold during this time of COVID-19 pandemic, as we are in community quarantine right now. That is why PICE conducts this webinar lecture series to convey additional learnings to our members. You know, we are going into a new normal. We will not be going back to the usual normal anymore, no, before. And your PICE is also preparing to face the challenges in the new normal, such as doing these webinars and more webinars in the future in delivering the CPD programs of PICEs, such as the RTCs maybe, and other seminars or maybe conventions. We will live with our online ways until the government would already allow us to go back, no, to conduct mass gatherings. And I will hope this would happen this year, no? So that we will meet each other again during the year-end national convention, in the later part of the year. No? With that, I would like to announce with regrets that our 2020 National Media Convention in Jensan, or General Santos City, this coming June is already canceled. No? But anyway, we will have more webinars in the future. At this point, I would like to thank our resource speaker, no? Dr. Padernal, Dr. Renzi, and yung panelist para natin ngayon, si Director Eric pa rin, ano? Director
Yes,
Eric, and the chair of the Interspecialty Group Committee of PICE. And also, I would like to recognize Ma'am Praxi Bernardo, the chair of our PRB in Civil Engineering, and our national board.
Hi.
Ma'am. The national board who are here with us, and of course, our secretariat for making this pilot webinar possible. So lastly, for everybody, I would like to reiterate again what I've told the past sessions of this webinar, the wishes of my 3 wishes to one and all. No? One is a holy, a prayerful life, acknowledging our Almighty, and let us all pray for a miraculous end of this pandemic. Then a healthy, living healthy lifestyle, and to obey the protocols of government to stay safe. And lastly, a happy happy with our family, happy with our lives, happy to serve, and happy with what we are doing day by day. And right now, happy attending this webinar session. So again, thank you and have a relaxing day. Sit down and relax and have the fruitful webinar. Sir Eric, please.
Thank you, Sir Bong. So, let us always stay happy kahit na anong ano yan, ano. Let's always be happy. Okay po. So, of course, again, the Secretary, can you please share yung house rules natin? Before we start, I'd like to go over again our house rules para kasi may mga ibang questions pa po na may nakikita akong questions sa chat. So, ano lang, para ma-address natin. EJ, paki-share naman yung house rules ulit. Okay, so house rules, again, number 1, the microphone or the audio and the video of all attendees shall be muted to avoid unnecessary noise and so that not to disturb both the presenter and the attendees and so that the attendees can hear and view both the presentation and the panelists. All questions, ito po, please really take note of this. All questions shall be sent through the Q&A button. Doon nyo lang po i-send yung mga questions nyo, whether it's related to the topic or even related to the webinar, kasi meron ako nakikita sa chat na mga questions regarding dun sa evaluation form na hindi ko natanggap, yung certificate, etc. Please post it dun sa Q&A button kasi nahihirapan ho kami mag-monitor sa chat dahil tuloy-tuloy yung feed. Sa Q&A po kasi, lumalabas dun yung mga unanswered questions po namin. So I'll try while the presentation is ongoing, I will try to answer all the questions. So doon nyo lang po i-post sa Q&A, mas nasusundan po namin kasi doon sa Q&A na box. Questions will be, post your questions even during the presentation. It will be noted by our moderator and then after po ng presentation, we'll maximize the time left to answer as much as we can all the questions that were posted. If hindi po na-answer lahat ng questions, the Secretariat is actually taking note also of all the questions posted. And then kung meron pa po kayo additional questions, you can email it to zoomwebinar.pice@gmail.com. So the presenter or the speaker can address your questions via email. So for those who weren't able to register, you can also view this webinar sa FB page ng PICE. Naka-FB live po tayo. Just take note when you search for the Facebook, it's Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers Inc. Huwag po kakalimutan yung Inc. Kasi meron pong ibang webpage na wala yung Inc. So hindi po dun naka-feed yun. So just make sure that you complete the whole Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers Inc. Now, the poll evaluation of the webinar shall be answered. It is part of the submission to the PRC. And although we're trying our best to submit it, to send it to you within 24 hours after of the presentation, although medyo napansin namin kasi, we have to send it via your email. Paisa-isa ho yung pag-send ng email. We were trying to figure out paano siya ma-send in bulk. But so far right now, we're sending it only per individual attendees yung pagsisend po. So medyo matagal-tagal lang, medyo na it's taking a lot of time po, especially for the Secretariat since they're working from home lang din po. So antayin nyo lang po, darating po yun. But definitely, in order for you to get the certificate as well as the materials, you have to fill up the evaluation form. After you fill up the evaluation form in Google form na po siya, makukuha nyo na po yung link to download the presentation materials of the previous na mga webinars. And then the certificate will only be, we will still compile all the evaluation form. As yung mga nag-attend po, we will still compile them. Everything will be compiled. Isa-isahin po ulit namin yon. Then once okay na po, saka po kami ulit mag-i-email sa inyo ng yung certificate of attendance. It could either be several emails na matatanggap nyo, one certificate per seminar, or isang email po with all the certificates na inattendan nyo po. But definitely po, one webinar is equivalent to one certificate. So kung kung makaka-attend po kayo dun sa 6 seminars po natin na webinars, you are supposed to get 6 certificates. So antayin nyo lang po yun. Give us until next week pag natapos po yung webinars natin para matanggap nyo po lahat ng mga certificates nyo. Now, only registered attendees, those who are attending now, will only get the link for the evaluation and the certificate. So even though nag-register kayo, pero kung hindi ko kayo nag-attend, wala po kayo makukuhang link for the certificate and the materials. Number 8 po, all attendees are requested to fill up the membership registration form. So this one po, ayan po yung link for those who have not yet updated their membership profile. So please update your membership profile since of course this webinar is para po sa mga members natin sa PICE. So if you're not a member or if you haven't updated your membership profile, please go to that link and update your profile. You only have to do it once. After po no, hindi nyo na ho kailangan gawin. So yun lang po for our house rules for today, for this webinar lecture series. Again, please post your questions sa Q&A and I will try to get back to you dun sa Q&A box na lang po. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our moderator for today, Dr. Donna Mel Sayari. So she will be introducing our speaker and moderating this webinar lecture. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sir Eric, for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, fellow civil engineers. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you our speaker for today, who's going to discuss on construction management plan for a 20-kilometer drainage system for a rail project in Central Luzon. So this project aims to avert and mitigate the flooding around the flooding environments. Our speaker is no other than Dr. Florencio Padernal, who's a civil engineer and a holder of master's degree in business administration. He's also of public administration. Dr. Padernal is also the chairman of Padernal Construction and president and CEO of the Best Consultants. He is also the managing partner of Renzi and Partners. He became also the past president of PICE Lungsod ng Maynila chapter. He is also the past national vice president of PICE and PICE fellow. Without further ado, let me introduce to you the chairman of the Project and Construction Management Specialty Division of the Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers, Dr. Florencio Padernal.
Good afternoon, fellow civil engineers. We have a very, very interesting topic. We have a very interesting and challenging project, which I would like to share and discuss with you. So this is a construction management plan for a 20-kilometer drainage system for a rail project in Central Luzon. As a backgrounder, this one is actually a very long rail system, but one of the phases is actually from Valenzuela up to Bukawe, which is the subject of my discussion now. Well, this is construction management. But I want to give you a background. If you notice, Valenzuela, Maykawayan, Marilao, Bukawe is a highly dense population area, but the topography is generally plain. You can see from this map the households. Now, the objective of this drainage project is to avert flooding within the project sites. Ang ibig sabihin kasi nito is, if the project site is flooded, you cannot do anything. You cannot construct. project will be delayed, and all of those things, all the attendant problems. Now, you might be able to work within the project area, but the other problem is, how about the communities within the project areas? Now, just to give you an idea, the access road is about 1 meter to 1.5 meters on fill. And it's a very long 20-kilometer stretch. The estimated cost is over 300 million pesos just for the drainage. Not the rail, of course, that will run billions of pesos. Now, there was a hydrologic and hydraulic study that was conducted. The purpose of this is, you have to determine, you should know how much rainfall will be pouring in this area. What's the maximum? Because we designed for maximum flooding. Now, what will be the direction of the water each time that it rains? So I just selected one map, and you can see from here the direction of water. We did several modeling for this, and we know exactly how it was designed. So you have the maximum flood, the topography, you can see the settlement area, because all of this will affect the implementation of the project. Now, some of the key features are 20-kilometer drainage pipe. This is high density polyethylene. But there are also 3 kilometers pipes, because there are cross pipes. The drainage design was designed in such a way that it will just be on one side. The other side, there will be a lot of manholes where water will enter, and then it crosses the stretches. You have here the MacArthur Highway, then you have the PNR alignment, and then the viaduct, because the rail will be elevated, and then you have the access road. There is an access road mainly because that will be more important during operation and maintenance, but during construction, that is very important. Otherwise, it will be difficult to be putting in the piers, the foundation, the piers, etc. So, illustrated in this slide, the step-by-step thing on how to install the HDPE pipes. I don't have to go over it one by one because I'll be discussing also the methodology and other things later on. There was an option whether to use HDPE, to use RC pipes, to use PE, and all of those things. But there are pros and cons for all these options. The time frame is only 4 months, so for 20 kilometers. That's why you have to think of better options. This is just an illustration of how to a cross section of the trends. There is a sunbathing, because this is so important, because the methodology of construction is actually dictated with this cross section. So you have to be very careful about this. The common barrow backfill, that's also very selective. And compaction, as you're aware, is so sensitive. The sun bedding, or sometimes the gravel bedding, serves as a shock absorber because there will be motion above it, most likely. But the thing here is there is sufficient safeguard for to protect the pipe. Now you have to be creative if when you will be implementing the project already. This is just an illustration. This is the cross section of the manhole. Now, no, I cannot. Well, anyway, water will just enter above the manhole. Because remember, on the other side, there are no gutters. It will just be mainly doing some land development so that the flow of water will go to the manhole. On top of that, these areas are generally flooded during heavy rain, heavy downpour. So water will really be flowing through these manholes. As a project manager, you have to understand clearly the different components of the project so that you will know exactly how to approach what we usually call construction method, which I will be explaining later on. Now, there is a sump. The sump will, water will flow from the surface to the pipes, to the manhole, then the pipes, and then it goes through a sump. Because from the sump, there is a pumping station. Wait, let me see. Oh. So later on, you will see there are the different pumps that will be used. So that's the cross section of the sump. And then another one. This is a typical section of the cross pipe. So it traverses, meaning if you have the alignment, a cross pipe will be from the other side where the drainage pipes are located. It's opposite. Then there's a cross pipe that enters wherein water will enter going to the drainage pipes. This is just a typical picture of the access road which is being constructed. So there is an access road, and then there is a right-of-way for the viaduct, and then you have the original PNR alignment. So this is another picture. I just selected two pictures. So what will happen is the drainage pipes will be located on one side of the access road, just on one side. So for this case, or in many cases, since still the access road is still being constructed, but it's almost done, it will be easier to construct. But there are other problems that you will be encountering us, and we'll discuss as we proceed. Now, what are the constraints? The limited implementation period. In fact, it should only be 3 months because this one is already delayed, mainly because of the present health crisis that we have. The main purpose is really to avert flooding. The onset of the rainy season, well, it's already this month. That's why you really have to rush. It's between 3 to 4 months only. So that's one of the major problems that will be encountered. And then since you're talking here of hundreds of pipes that will be hundreds or thousands, because what's this? The size of the HDP is big. It's 900 mm, 0.9 of a meter. There are no ready stocks. So there should be, as a project manager, you have to consider coordination, effective coordination with whoever is the supplier of the pipe. And there should be a firm schedule of deliveries. Otherwise, the implementation will be affected. That's why it's a major constraint, you know. And then construction is under GCQ rules. So what does it mean? There are so many things. The implementing rules and regulations was just issued by DPWH last Monday, signed by the DPWH secretary. And there are so many things inside, you know. So your construction workers will have to be housed properly with all the social distancing, including during meals and all of those things. It's also a constraint, you know. Well, we have to live with it. This is, as it's cliche already, the new normal. We have to live with this situation until, you know, vaccines and real medicines will come in. But the thing here is you have to implement this as soon as possible because of the onset of the rainy season. So these are just the three major ones. Now, what we usually do, what do you usually do when you start a project? All the important documents should be there. Plans, you know, your work plan and S-curve, which is both a planning tool as well as a control mechanism. I don't have to discuss this. I've been discussing this in regional conferences. Yeah, it's actually comparing planned targets or planned activities, comparing it with actual, and then monitoring there are problems. For me, in my experience, I'm not satisfied with just preparing the work plan and S-curve. I also have a problem issue constraint statement and proposed solutions, because I haven't seen any major construction project without any problem. There will always be a problem. But the best way as a project manager, because I'm assuming a project manager or project engineer here, the best way for you is to know what are the potential problems that might occur, so you can plan it properly. So we have the standard format for these things, and as you, my fellow civil engineers, you might have been using this form already. The timelines are so critical. So you have to plan based on experience or based on collective decision of the project team. But one of the biggest dangers of the work plan and S-curve is if you do not adjust. Because for this case, no need to adjust because it's just 3 to 4 months period. But for larger projects, multi-year projects, my advice is sometimes you should have a revised work plan after evaluating it at midstream. For example, if your project is for 2 years, after 1 year, you have to review, analyze your work plan and S-curve and check whether these are still responsive to your needs or not anymore. Otherwise, you have to come out with a revised work plan and S-curve. Okay. Now, in project management, it's construction management already. Again, if I may just be allowed to make mention the difference between project management and construction management. In project management, you really started the project from conceptualization to detailed engineering, planning, detailed engineering, implementation, O&M. Here, it's just the implementation stage. Construction management is just the actual implementation. So we started with identifying, as I mentioned earlier, identifying the different activities and matching it with the timelines for each of the activities. So the next part is the materials schedule. So we have a very simple format, but I prefer simple ones than very complicated ones. So particulars, what are the description specifications, the materials that you want? And then you have the quantity, the unit cost, and the amount. This is one method of presenting the material schedule. The second method of presenting it is actually the deliveries. How many times you will be delivering a particular item, because you don't have to purchase all the materials that you need in just one time. That's why there is a schedule of deliveries. On top of that, in construction, you do not keep too much inventory because it also costs a lot of money by keeping inventories. That's why it's always good to have a delivery schedule. You arrange with your supplier the best arrangement possible for the deliveries of your materials. This one, this project, drainage project, is heavy on equipment. If you want to finish it on time, you should deploy more and more equipment. Now, backhoe is very essential. And then for compaction, you don't need a roller here. You just need the portable ones. So you have to decide as with the project team, what are the essential equipment that will be applied. After deciding how many of them will be used, and then how are you going to deploy all of these equipment, tools, accessories, all of those things. Now I want to focus on the methodology. You know, as a project manager, it's very important for you to conceptualize your approaches and methodology. How will you proceed? What will be your construction method? I'll just simplify this one because I will be very slow when I'll be discussing the construction method, the strategies that will be deployed. Now, sorry. The first thing is after mobilization. You know, again, if you follow the rules under the ECQ, you will be deploying more bunk houses or what we use the smart homes for temporary use, and you will be deploying most likely. You have to think about these double deckers because of the required distances, even while you are sleeping, you know, even when you are eating. So here, you have to think of how to excavate, you know, so that people will not be very close to each other. Since this is the new normal, so we have to comply with all of those things. So after excavating, you have to put the gravel sand bedding. But anyway, I'll discuss the strategies on these things later on because there's a technique. And then next is pipe laying. The moment that you have excavated and you have put the sand bedding, you'll be laying the pipes already. In parallel, you should be creative enough to think that it is necessary to fabricate the hundreds of manholes that will be installed off-site or even on-site. But well, it all depends on how you will be approaching this. But for this case, my approach is really to prefabricate it off-site because of the problem of the requirements of GCQ, so that there will be not much workers in a certain area. Then construction of sump tanks. Because sump tanks are huge. Aside from sump tank, attached to it is the pumping station. So again, I'll be discussing the strategies on, because that's the heart of my presentation, how these things should be done. In construction management, creativity plus the experience that if you have encountered this type of projects in the past, you will know exactly what to do in a more efficient way and what we usually say least cost solution. Now, next is the construction of the pumping station. Pumping station means you have the pump house and you have the control panels. This will be the least of my worries. The pump houses and control panels. Because the way it was designed, there will just be one per municipality. Since this is methodology, and it covers a lot of municipalities, it might be better to cluster it by municipality. How I wish that you can interact with me while I'm discussing these things. Because there are so many options, like doing a VEBA, a value engineering. But here, I mentioned about the constraints. You have to finish this in 4 months' time. You have the constraint in the fabrication of HDPE, and of course the requirements of the guidelines that you have to follow. And then once you are done with this, you have to backfill, and then you have to test, commission, and then operate. Initial operation. But you should not stop at that point. You have to do systems monitoring. I will repeat. You have to test that it is operational. You have to commission it, and then you operate. After operating, there is what we call systems operation monitoring. Now, I will be very slow on this. Now, you have to think, 20 kilometers, how many groups should you deploy? How many municipalities here? One city, Valenzuela, right in front of me. Actually, it's a very big map. I can easily see it. You have Mikawayan, Marilao, and Bukawi. Now, if you will deploy, considering deployment of the number of groups is dependent on the magnitude of work or the volume of work, the topographic situation, and several other factors. For this case, we are designing it to have 3 or 4 groups. It will be field validated, whether 3 or 4. There are issues attendant whether you increase it to 4. Why not only 3? Because the guidelines state, among other things, that housing is so crucial, and they have to stay with certain distances and all of those things. But the more groups that you deploy, the more crowded will be your workforce. But again, with the time constraint, we'll still be very creative about it. Determine and undertake parallel activities. Why? It's so important to have parallel activities so that you can do more than the traditional. While you are doing the excavation, you should be prefabricating the manholes. You should be doing rebar cutting and bending and all of these things for the sump tank. So let me go over it one by one. Procurement of pipes and pumps at staggered deliveries. Why? I'll explain. Pipes, usually, the moment that they are delivered, pipes you should have finished the excavation, and it should be as close as possible to the excavation, because these are not ordinary small pipes. These are big enough and a bit, at least, lighter than the RC pipes, But still, you have to procure, because the fabrication of this type of pipe, there is also a maximum capacity of the factory, the plant, who will be manufacturing. In fact, we are thinking of using not only one manufacturer, 2 manufacturers, because 20 kilometers is 20 kilometers, and it should be delivered in 3 months' time, because you have to finish it in 4 months' time. Staggered delivery, because it should be synchronized with the excavation and compaction and the sunbedding. So it will be very fast, actually. This is what we call mass production. You are mass producing the actual activities of the drainage system. Now, why prefabricate the manholes? Because it's easier. You just excavate, and then you just drop the manhole, and then do the finishing touches, and you attach the pipes, and that's it. Rather than doing it cast in place. So again, because of our orientation on VEBA, the value engineering, value analysis, during the olden times, we used the term evaluation of alternatives. Nowadays, we have the VEBA. Now, you're allowed to evaluate different options and decide on which one is the best, the most efficient way, and doable in terms of the timeline given to you, the timeline. That's so important. Now, the sump tank, it's because even in construction of buildings, there is a separate group doing rebar works. For this case, since there will be several sump tanks, big ones, it would be good to have a separate bending, cutting, bending, fabrication of the sump tanks steel components. So the third one is actually, as I mentioned earlier, it will be off-site fabrication of manholes. The next is off-site rebar fabrication of sumps. And then pre-order of pumps. Also, ito rin, sa mga, in our experience, pump, hindi naman readily available yan eh. So you have to do it ahead of time, and they will fabricate these things. And then they will assemble. Then you just install. Installation is very easy, but there's so many component parts of a pump. So it will take some time, and we have computed 30 days, about a month, to do all of these things, and there will be several pumps that will be installed. There will be about 4 sumps, so there will be 4 sets of pumps. Now, sa pump naman, there are pumps which are higher in terms of horsepower rating. Some maybe the least that you can do here is based on the design. It will be 2. There will be 2 pumps in one sump, in one pumping station, 2 to 3. It all depends on, because the volume of water here is enormous in Bulacan area. That's why Central Luzon is called the general central plain of Luzon. So we have considered all of those things in the hydraulic and the hydrologic condition and the hydraulic condition. Now, even the electrical control panels should be pre-ordered right from your first week upon mobilization. You have to pre-order all of these things already. Well, for this type of project, the pumps, the electrical control panels will take you 30 to 45 days. But installation is very easy. It's really the fabrication that will kill you. Now, monitoring and evaluation. I'm just going over the different steps in construction management. There are monitoring forms. If you are a regular contractor, you should have your own monitoring forms by now. But depending on the category, on the type of project, sometimes you adjust. That's very easy to adjust the form because what is most crucial here is actually the type of project, because for this case there are just a few number of parts or components. If you will compare it with the thousands and thousands for building, for a high-rise building, a drainage system, there are just a few parts that you have to consider. So the monitoring form will have to be adjusted. For me, as being exposed to construction for over 40 years, so I would like to listen to the problems, issues, concerns, but do not come to me by just stating what the problems are. You should be ready to recommend proposed solutions, and then we discuss. Then we decide. If you know the problem, there are proposed solutions. You combine the experiences of the project manager and you as the owner of the construction company. You combine these two, you have the best result. Now, during construction and then after construction, it's always good as an in-house rule to have an evaluation form. Yeah, the sequence in construction management is planning, organizing, directing, control. But there is monitoring and evaluation. Evaluation usually comes before you end the project. You check whether what was planned really came out. So you have to compare plan and actual. You have to analyze the results, the impact, the outcome. So yeah, there's still time to adjust, because you have to do this before completing your project completion report. Now, as a construction company, keeping records is so important. keeping records and managing the data that are at hand. Because this is not your last project, you will have another project. You will have similar project again in the past. How did you perform in this project? You have to record them, so that it will be used by the next project manager, most likely. So data management for whatever happened during construction should be properly recorded. Of course, there are several logbooks here. There's one logbook for the project engineer, which records the activities, the problems encountered, and other related matters. There's a logbook for the security who is just concerned about security matters within the project area. There is a logbook of that should be prepared by the safety engineer. You'll know the pickup, the requirements of having a safety engineer is vital. And you all know the rules of the Department of Labor and Employment about safety procedures. Coordination is crucial for this type of project. Why? Because you're dealing with the community. There are several communities. You're dealing with several LGUs. Now, if you are, for this case, because there is a main contractor for the whole railway, the rail project. For this case, the drainage system is a sub-component of the whole thing. So you are a subcontractor. Now, you have to deal properly with the main contractor for this case. There are cases whereby you have to coordinate with the Department of Transportation, or particularly the Philippine National Railways. Sometimes the success of a major part of the success of a project is proper coordination. Because if you do not properly coordinate with the LGUs, for example, even the barangay captains, as the case may be, in reality, there are a lot of problems. So, as a contractor, somebody will be checking your work. As a contractor, you'll be dealing with the community. Sometimes even right of way. I hope the right of way acquisition is already done for this project. Is also a problem. Now, contract administration. This is one of the major parts of construction management. There are two major things that I just listed here, but there are more. The time schedule. In contract management, you have to track down periodically. For this case, since it's only a maximum of 4 months, I suggest weekly. This should be tracked down, the timelines, every week. So so that there are no problems in terms of change order, variation order, all of those things attendant to project implementation. And also a problem might arise if you overlook the implementation period. So timeline, you have to be cautious about the time schedule. The other one is for business management. Billing and collection is also crucial in contract management, so that you will have sufficient revolving fund. If you're a businessman, you'll be thinking about this, billing and collection. As a technical man, you'll be thinking of the time schedule. Of course, quality and complying to specifications and all of those things. Now, I want to highlight a few things conflict, on conflict management. Conflict management is the main responsibility of the project manager. You know, the work environment should be something that it should be as much as possible free of conflicts. However, in reality, there will always be some conflicts. I mentioned one, the right of way. Even if it was, well, before I was involved with, because the former project was called North Rail, and I was the chairman of the Basis Conversion Development Authority. Before, this area was totally squatted with informal settlers. To be exact, there were 35,000 families that were relocated. So they're very lucky right now implementing this project without squatters. Without informal settlers. Now, we always monitor community complaints during construction. The thing here is you have to live with the community. Sometimes may mga osisero dyan, they will just be looking at what you're doing. Sabi ko nga, this is densely populated. I'm looking at the topographic map right now. So many houses here. And for sure, there will be a lot of complaints coming from the communities. The other one is issues with the main contractor. Problems with main contractor, of course, if you do not coordinate properly, or if your contract is not properly written, just be sure that your contract is properly written to protect yourself as a subcontractor. Now, it should be clear that during project monitoring, it should be clear to the main contractor and to the project owner that the forms that will be used will be sufficient enough and conforms to all the things that they need. That's why monitoring forms are so important that it should be agreed upon with all concerned groups. So, well, kung baguhan ka sa construction, ay wala, mahirapan ka. Pero kung if you've been in this business for several decades, you should know how to handle these things. And the beauty of attending seminars, conferences, workshops, and now webinar is at least we discuss openly our past experiences so that it will not be experienced by the younger generation. Ito, no, yung project completion report. Usually, a lot of contractors, they do not do this, not unless required. Whether required or not, you have to prepare your project completion report. We discussed before about data management. So, whoever is the reader, may importansya ito eh. The project owner will be interested to know what happened during the whole duration of construction. That's why they need a project completion report. As a contractor, you will be interested to document what happened during construction so that if there were kapalpakan done by people under you, it should be properly recorded and it should not be experienced in the next similar project. So the process here is punch listing. You list down. You go all over from Bukawi to Valenzuela, Valenzuela to Bukawi. You check whether you have complied with all of those things. But there is a technique here. During construction, periodically, ang recommendation ko dito is usually monthly. You bring in the inspector already, since the inspector will be writing your will taking note of your accomplishment report. That will be sufficient safeguard for you during the final punch listing. The thing here is there is the process of testing and commissioning. It will be at this point for water-related projects, water supply, waterworks systems, drainage, flood control projects, hydropower projects. Testing and commissioning is so important so that you might still be detecting something else. For this case, leaks will not be a major concern because it's drainage. But for potable water supply, waterworks systems, leaks are so important. There should be no leaks because that will be an unaccounted for water. For this case, there will still be infiltration gallery, assuming that there are leaks. But using that's the beauty of HDPE. The couplings used here, mahahaba eh. It will minimize a lot of leaks as compared to yung RC pipes, because RC pipes, you put a cooler at the bottom, wala na yun eh. Doon din magtatapon din doon eh. So it's not totally tapos sasabit-sabit yung if you do not maintain properly your manholes, solid particles sasabit-sabit doon sa pipes eh. So drainage systems should be properly maintained. Then after punch listing, if there are detected problems or oversights, you have to do the corrections. If you do corrections, you have to agree on certain timelines. You don't have to correct forever. You cannot even collect if you're the contractor. So you have to correct after punch listing. You have to correct, do remedial measures immediately, and then prepare your report. Ay, tapos na pala. Thank you very much. I think I finished it earlier, but it is also by intention that I want to discuss with you. We're limited to 3 to 5 questions, but you can punch in more questions. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay lang po. Basta we have time, we can accommodate all questions. We're here until 5 o'clock naman po, sir.
Okay, good. I prefer that it will be two-way rather than one-way. I want you to learn. I want also to share whatever things we have to share. Okay, Dr. Donna, do you have the first question?
Ma'am Donna, kayo na po mag-preside po dun sa...
Alright, okay. Thank you for your presentation, Dr. Padernal.
Okay.
We have a lot of questions here. Alright. So I think the topic is really interesting. So we have several questions here to be asked to Dr. Padernal. Let me first start the question from Engineer Green Marquez. According to Engineer Green Marquez, we would like to ask about how do you manage the risk during the COVID-19 situation into this project in terms of constraints such as cost and schedule?
Well, I think get hold of the implementing rules that was signed last Monday by Secretary Villar, because the task force delegated it to DPWH, and they came out. It was signed last Monday. As I said, one is really the social distancing thing. You know, even sleeping, there are rules. Even transporting these people, the construction workers, there are rules that we have to follow. Even during construction, we have to follow the 1 meter rule. You know, so this will be a challenge, but we will be used to it. Mind you, in construction, we are very flexible. So we have identified this as one of the risks, but managing it will not be that difficult. We just have to comply with all the requirements, because the requirements of government are actually to protect also the workers, the construction workers. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Padernal, for your answer.
I sorry, Doc Donna. I will, just in case you don't have a copy, I will request PIC, I have a copy, to disseminate it in our website.
Thank you, sir. All right, so let me just choose the next question. In relation to the next question, there is a question from Engineer Edmundo Gomez, somehow related to that question. He would like to know about the estimate. Probably how many percent higher would this effect of the new normal in the construction implementation?
No, not much. Not much a big difference, especially if, in fact, it should be cheaper if the project is very heavy on equipment like this one for road construction, even drainage, whereby you use a lot of equipment. Fuel and lubricants now are very cheap. So I think you finish this very quickly and you'll be okay. But as engineers, cost estimators, we always provide contingencies, miscellaneous expenses, and all of those things. So we'll be okay with that. We usually use the 5% physical financial contingencies plus. You know, it all depends on the situation here. Security might be an added cost for you because of the numerous houses. Even if you put a barricade, you know, marami yung people who are really interested in construction siguro, or usisero lang talaga. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Another question here, I think very similar. They would like to know if this project consider adopting technology solutions for monitoring the productivity, safety, quality, and procurement that can be accessed by all the parties. This is a big project.
No, it's normal. In construction management, if you're used to it, you have to deploy all of those things, because the bottom line, if you are the owner of the construction company, will still be the profitability. The moment that you implement this properly, you will attain the profit margin that you want to, and it will even be more because of the contingencies and the miscellaneous expenses that you put in as well. You know, that will become savings. That's why proper implementation, proper monitoring on the implementation activities is essential.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think this engineer is a bit worried about with the recent pandemic when it comes to the time extension. So he would like to know your thoughts. Since it is under QC for almost 2 months, uh, and most of the projects were stopped, he would like to know if this is a viable reason to claim for time extension.
Well, that is given already. You have to impute. What I mean is, this is a one of the how do you call that? Big projects of government, and as such, they're given proper attention. Now, there are additional things that ought to be considered here based on the guidelines. You should have health facilities just in case something goes wrong. So since these are key towns and a city, proper arrangement, we talked about that already. Proper arrangements with a certain hospital or what, just in case somebody will be contaminated. They should be isolated immediately, so there will be you have to provide for an isolation room, and then the transport vehicle to bring to the hospital and all of these things. Now, there is a big how do you call this? The Philippine Arena, they can accommodate thousands and thousands of people there, who will be affected or under quarantine. Now, we have thought of all of these things already, and it's part of the business given the new normal now. So we'll be adjusting a lot, but very soon we will be used to it because there's no other option. You have to adjust quickly, that's the way it is.
Thank you for your answer, sir. All right, so another question here from Engineer Redentor Raila. He would like to know about the project. In attaining target schedule of this project, what type of tools used to base your decisions towards an effective construction management? Are there delays involved, and how does crashing methods applies? And what are the controlling factors of your projects, and how does it affect your resources, like money, manpower, facility, and equipment? Did you apply for CPM?
Yeah, I think the answer is the whole presentation. That's the reason why you have to prepare a construction management plan. If you go to war, as they say, you should have guns and ammunitions with you. So if you do proper planning, organizing the workforce that you'll be doing, and then you have a good project manager who will be directing and controlling the activities. And if you have the good construction methods, as I discussed earlier, and proper monitoring and evaluation of the things that you're doing, I think you'll be in good hands. Uh, you know, with so many experiences already, I think, modesty aside, we can implement any type of project. In fact, we are preparing for a big dam project again. This one should not be a difficult project because it's not the rail system itself, but it's just the drainage system of the rail system. So this one will be very easy, as I have outlined earlier. I simply cannot put in some details because this is a project, this is a live project.
All right, thank
Okay.
you, Sir Renzi. So, as you mentioned, it is a big project. An engineer here named Johnson C. would like to know if this 300 million project is a design and build project.
Well, pwede ba, wag ko na muna sagutin eh.
The gentleman. would like to know.
Yeah. Well, we did the design already, but we are still negotiating for the construction. But you know, with this presentation, I think it will be very easy to convince them. I can do it in 4 months' time.
All right, thank you, sir. I think we only have few questions here.
No, please send in more questions. I'll be glad to answer them. And besides, we have more time.
Because some of the other questions are relative to one another, so I just synthesized them and delivered it to you. There's a new question here. According to Engineer Hil Mongkal, have you ever tried using integrated project delivery in any of your projects? Why or why not? Has it been used in any government or private project in the Philippines?
Integrated.
Project delivery, IPD.
Of course. Most of the projects that we are in, it's always like that. You know, if in land development, meaning you do earth moving, road construction, then housing. We have done all of these things in the past. Even construction of bridges, whereby you integrate it with road construction. Because if you construct big bridges, attendant to it are roads from both sides. You know, there are so many, a lot of these things. Even dam, multi-purpose dam construction. These are integrated projects. You know, modesty aside, my doctoral dissertation during the 80s pa is integrated area development project. So I honestly, I think I can give due justice in any integrated area development project.
All right, thank you, sir. I think one engineer here is curious about why does the project chose HDPE for the drainage pipe?
I think I explained it earlier. Because of the time constraint, you have to look for a material that should be easily implementable, or which should easily be executed. On top of that, price factor is considered. There are so many types of materials considered in the past. You can use steel pipes, the traditional reinforced concrete pipes. You can use the PE, but durability comes in. HDPE is being used even in source development. For example, one of the concessionaires of MWSS in their source development project in Rizal, they use very big HDPs, around 2 meters in diameter. You know, the strength of this one is enormous. Now, imagine the feedback eh. You imagine HDP is very flexible, is a flexible material. You have the train system, actually two train systems here. One is the viaduct sa itaas yun. Yung pangalawa is the PNR rail. So dalawang klaseng train yan, takbo ng takbo. So you can just imagine the vibration attached to it. And then you have the road system. The HDP is a very flexible material. Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. I think they became very interested. There are a lot of questions that feeds in now in the question and answer window.
Ay, salamat naman.
Nagising na po sila.
Oo.
Kaya nakaidip yata kanina, kaya while you are delivering
Nakapagkape na sila.
Nakapagkape na. Mainit na ba yung kape? All right. Okay, so there is another question here. Wait, They would like to know in this type of project, what is the most effective way of monitoring and evaluation?
Well, di ba, usually, okay, we go into some details. Physical, another one is financial. Sa akin, which is very important in the past decades that I've been doing construction, is a issue problem statement. Because for me, yung physical accomplishment mo, I can see it because I'm very visual person. Yung problema, sometimes kung may yung project engineer, kung yung project manager, pag tinago niya sa'yo yung problema, di mo alam. Kung kailan malaking-malaki na, that's the only time that they will raise it to you, and it will be more difficult to solve. That's why I prefer to listen to, I said, issues before it will become a problem. Concerns before it will become a problem. So there should be an open dialogue between the project engineer, the project manager, and the owner of the construction company. So it's really a teamwork. That's why I said you have to be working as one in this type of projects. Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. I think another engineer here, he would like to confirm if HDAPE pipe now is already allowed in under the DPWH Blue Book.
Oh yeah, of course, matagal na yan.
Medyo hindi nagbubuklat si sir ng Blue Book. Baka sir, kailangan yung magbuklat ng Blue Book ngayon, ng updated. All right, I think natabunan. Let me just retrieve some of the questions here. All right, here. What method in the post-construction inspection for the drainage will be implemented for the drainage? Are they considering CCTV inspection inside the pipes?
No, if it's brand new, you don't have to. As I said, it's a work in process. During construction, be sure to involve the main contractor, the project owner. They should participate in even only once a month na inspection on what you're doing. Kasi that will also be your protection as a contractor. Here, it's more of the efficiency of the drainage system. Pagka umulan yan, kasi remember that a drainage system should be designed to the maximum flood or the maximum rainfall. So these were all computed. It was computed and then simulated. May mga simulations, computer simulations that were done. That's why the size of the pipe was computed, and then the slope, and then the pumping capacity and all of those things.
All right, thank you, sir. I think you have answered a lot of questions already, but still there are a lot more coming in. An engineer here, Engineer Boseta, would like to know how many years was considered as the lifespan of the project, and is urbanization was considered in the project for the railway project that will boost influx of businesses and other structures to be built along, which may crop up problems in the near future.
Ano yung first one?
Yung sir, with the lifespan of the project.
The lifespan of the project, as I said, you have to design this properly. 25 years life of the drainage system, but we use 50-year flood. Kung ano man yung pinakamatinding flooding, that will be captured. That will be definitely, it will be captured. Climate change, there were provisions on that already. Kaya 0.9 or 900 mm ang ginamit na pipe. And then you have huge manholes and hundreds of them. So, kasi it was the intention that, alam nyo, sa flood control kasi, yung yung drainage pipe itself contains a lot of water. It can store a lot of water, and it will be replenished because of the pumping and the rain. There's a balance between the rainfall intensity and the pumping. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that there is such a thing as redundancy. There is such a thing as pump redundancy. Kasi worst situation is that masisira yung pump mo, ititigil mo yun, it will greatly affect the project. So there should always be, in water supply, we just use one pump per pumping station. But for this case, we have computed a couple of redundant pump. But here, you have to consider also the least cost solution. So we will be having only two to three redundant pumps. Minsan napipikon kayo sa redundancy, pero this is one case where redundancy is applied properly.
All right, sir. I think they really need your
Teka, meron pang isa.
Meron pa ba, sir? Sorry.
Ano ba yung sabi yung pangalawa? Yung sa influx and all
Influx
of those
of,
things?
yeah.
Well, it's beyond the drainage, but I know this story, that's why. It's not drainage already. Yung train system was designed such a way that may commuter rail na, and there is also a cargo train. Yung the original PNR alignment or the original PNR tracks will carry mga goods within Central Luzon. They can bring it to Manila and vice versa, whatever things they could get from Metro Manila. But the commuter rail will be a viaduct nasa taas eh. So, na-consider all of those things.
Okay,
Next,
thank you
please.
very much, sir. Ang daming pumasok, sir. Nagising talaga sila. I think some of the questions here are most likely applicable for the current situations. They would like to know your insights. How are you going to give your wait lang po. Ang dami pumapasok, wait lang po.
Take your time.
Question.
We have 30 minutes more.
Ayan. Kasi pag may nag-pop in na question, yung nasa taas, nawawala na siya.
Oh my.
So, I need to put it down again. So, yan. Consultation na talaga to, sir. What advice can you give to contractors who suffered or currently suffering the delays and cost overruns due to this current situation?
Delays? Wala ngang construction eh. Only a few construction projects are allowed.
Actually, sir, the engineer anticipated the upcoming ECQ regulations for adhering the health and safety precautionary measures to be imposed by the government.
As I mentioned earlier, we have the implementing rules and regulations, the guidelines set. It was written by DPWH. I'll be furnishing PICE a copy, so ilalagay na lang sa web ng PICE. Okay.
May follow-up nga, sir. Actually, very similar. They would like to know how can you manage a project in the middle of the construction if there's changes or variation in the plan?
If
there are changes and variations in the plan.
No. Variations is very minimal here, because in drainage system, what is crucial is yung hydrologic consideration as well as the hydraulic condition, So these were studied very well, and as I said, get na computer lang ka, pero lahat tayo computer na ngayon eh. May simulation that were applied using certain computer models. Yeah, we should be okay.
All right. Okay, talagang This person, I think this is the very first question that I missed to mention, coming from Engineer Pastor. Yeah. Actually, it is an overall question. How do you address risk management? Scheduling conflicts, delayed cash flow, limited skills, unrealistic expectations. Parang lahat na yata nangyayari. Or bad forecasting and construction management. If ever it happened on the rail project in Central Luzon, how will it affect the implementation phase and how it will be resolved?
Well, can we have another lecture series for this? For me to explain yung risk management is a very ticklish issue, which, however, it is one of my favorite topics as well. In fact, it is a special topic that was indicated in the project and construction management book that PIC published long time ago, 10 years ago. Now, in risk management kasi, you have to identify what are the potential risks that might occur. Of course, the first risk is kung may tamaan ng COVID. That is a very, very, very likely thing. That's why, what will you do? Sa risk management naman yan, you have to supply adequate gadgets for your workers. You have to put in sanitary stations. You have to do yung mga bunkhouses mo will not be ordinary. It will not be ordinary bunkhouses anymore. Kasi you have to safeguard a lot of things. Kaya tatas ng konti, yung temporary cost natin might be increasing a little bit, but ma-offset naman siguro sa other cost items natin eh. So the risk, yung health crisis natin is the first risk. Another risk here is the possibility that the pipes will not be manufactured on time. That's why how to solve this one. If you notice, I do not just mention a problem. I offer a solution. The reason that you have to monitor sa factory is because of the manufacturing timetable. There should be no reason why the committed volume of pipes that will be manufactured will not be delivered. Mag-assign ka na lang ng isang tao dun sa factory rin who will be checking every day ilan yung natatapos. Kung may problema sila, I think you have to press the red button that they have to work on it overtime. Or if necessary, the usual 8 hours should be 12 hours or 16 hours per day for them to manufacture these things. So I mentioned two big risks already. The third risk here is community relations because ang daming tao eh. Ang daming tao itong lugar na ito eh. Of course, we have yung political system using the barangays. Of course, pakikisama mo dyan with informal leaders as well will help a lot. So, ang technique naman dyan is you should have, alam mo, may mga tao na magaling talaga na makipagkwentuhan sa sa barangay o nakikipagkwentuhan sa mga tao. So you have to look for these people who can help you during implementation na aalalay sa but it's also risky kung nandyan sila palagi na or possibility of accidents kung nakikialam na sila lumapit sila within the restricted area, construction area. So it will become a big problem also, you know. The other risk is the climate. Kasi rainy season na ito eh. So what we usually do for drainage system or potable water supply, mga waterworks system is we allow a certain length of covered area na ine-excavate. Kahit na umuulan siya, hindi ganun katindi ang ang tama sa tao. So may tent na covered so you can continue working lalo na kung sunbedding na lang ilalatag mo yung sun, gravel and sun tapos i-compact mo lang eh. So pwede yun na gagawa ka ng mga tents mo na magagamit sa construction. Tapos yung weather condition, and then of course some abnormal risk. I hope it will not happen there. Yung peace and order situation dyan in that area. Kasi ang pilferage is not really a big problem here because you cannot carry the pipes. Ang laki mabigat yung pipe. So, and it's very visible. Makikita ka agad pag itakbo mo yung tubo, hindi pwede yan kasi ang isang truck, it could just carry 4 to 5 pieces. So, yung preparing yourself to implement a certain project is worthwhile. Kasi ang hirap na you went to war already, nandiyan ka na, nag-implement ka na ng project, tapos doon ka palang mag-iisip kung anong gagawin mo Pag nangyari ito, ganyan. I do not worry much about yung increase in prices sa oil because there is an oversupply in the world. There is a recession, a global recession right now, but yung prices of oil, I don't think it will increase dramatically. So it's not included in the risk factors that you considered. I hope I satisfied. But let's have another lecture on risk management para makumpleto natin.
Actually, sir, parang hindi na related to sa mga sa discussion nyo. More of siguro situational, personal experiences nila dun sa mga projects nila. Like for instance, this one, how do you address daw po yung manpower mobilization? Kasi they have concern with barangay clearance. This is an issue to consider for planning and manpower pooling.
May solusyon to. Since there is an overall permit for big infra, yung build projects, may overall na permit yan For this case, it was approved last week. I-photocopy lang yun pakita sa barangay. So I think it will not be a difficult thing, no. Tapos ma-issuean kayo ng mga ID system and all of those things. So it should not be a big problem at all because there is an overall mother permit given already.
Meron pang isang question dito. Very curious siya. In any case daw, in a project site, somebody got COVID. So who will be responsible for the health expenses?
You have to impute all of these things. The reason why we also get yung all risk insurance, you can also get more insurances if you want to. Because it's worth it. Nandiyan sa it's at least a medium-sized project na malaki-laki naman ng kwan. So magdagdag ka na sa miscellaneous expenses mo dyan Pero in the guidelines, it's very specific that dapat meron kang mini clinic dyan At saka may facilities para sa quarantine just in case it happens. At saka yung you have to network with nearby yung pinakamababa na health centers or mga regional hospitals or mga general hospitals. So that's part of preparation.
I think we have covered already the questions. There are new questions. Evaluation na po ang tinatanong dito. I think, meron pa ba? So far, there are no questions related to the presentation anymore. So most of these are relevant to their inquiry with regards to the handouts or presentation. Yeah, in case Sir Eric. Okay. So,
Please ask more questions kasi I will be forced to sing.
ayan, may humabol, sir. Ah.
Andiyan na si chairman eh. Si chairman na lang.
Sige.
Ayan.
Okay lang po. Pwede pa tayo mag-ano.
Ayan, Sir Eric, one more. Ayan.
Ano pa? Last
Si
10,
Sir Eric na lang.
10 minutes po. 10 minutes. Pwede pa.
All right. Okay. So, one question from Engineer John Denver Katapang. Sir, as Chair for Project Management and Construction Engineering, did we or you, PICE, publish any templates for project management plan or construction management plan?
We always prepare a construction management plan for every project that we are in. HETO is actually your safeguard, you know. I've been lecturing in the past several years sa PICE, and I always emphasize that it's always better to integrate all the things that you have, like yung per CPM or yung, pero ako I prefer yung work plan and S-curve. At the bottom, you have the evaluation on what you do on a month-to-month or week-to-week basis. Yung materials schedule mo, equipment schedule, and manpower schedule. So you will lessen your problems in implementation if you have a construction management plan.
I think this is for the, they would like to know, sir, if if there is a standard specific time frame po ba for punch listing?
Oh yeah. Ang rule natin dyan, ang rule of thumb natin sa punch listing, the moment that you hit 95% accomplishment, pag-punch list ka na eh. So you go through that process and then correct, come out with remedial measures for the whatever the defects occurred is at 95%. And then yung remaining 5%, you have to finish it and then turn over the project. Yeah. Okay. What else?
Eto, Sir Eric, para sa iyo to. They're asking if they could have another webinar related to construction management plan, Philippine approach. Sorry, maganda ka na dito.
Meron po tayo, definitely po we'll be having more webinars. Kagaya ngayon nga, may maraming suggestion. Tsaka nagsabi na si Sir Renzi na may iba pa raw siyang topic na gustong i-discuss. So we will of course schedule another webinar series ng ganitong format po ulit. So antayin niyo lang po yun.
Yan, Sir Engineer, nasagot na po yung query nyo.
Excuse me, Doc Donna, no? Chair Eric, if you notice sa construction management, the last 2 years, nagpo-focus kami sa actual case studies rather than yung mga theories and principles. Kasi yung theories and principles, pumapasok siya while you're discussing yung case studies. That's the intention natin sa construction management. And I'm glad that in the regional conferences, in the last 2 years,
marami project pa po si Sir Renzi. Meron pa pong questions? Meron pa ho ba?
Puro sa'yo yata to, sir, link.
Oo nga, ako nagsasagot pa ho ako ng mga questions nyo regarding sa mga evaluation lahat. So, antayin nyo lang po, sasagutin ko pa ho yan even after this webinar. So, kung wala na pong questions, actually marami yung questions na hindi na related sa exactong topic, although sinagot naman din po ni Dr. Renzi. So, but if you still have, kung may maisip po kayong questions, again, please email zoomwebinar.pice@gmail.com. Please send your questions there and then we'll again try to get back with the answers sa inyo po. So, we'll try to get the answers and we'll try to answer those questions na i-email po doon. So, I think marami, actually, parang sa 4 po na webinar natin, ito yung pinakamaraming questions. And in fact, umabot po tayo ng about more than 350 participants.
Wow.
So,
congrats, sir.
Madami po yun. So, maraming mga inalaman si Dr. Renzi magtutok.
Salamat
So anyway,
kay President, sir.
I'll
Si Doc talaga.
again, thank you po to our speaker, Dr. Renzi Padernal.
Maraming
Thank you to
salamat
our
po.
moderator, Dr. Donna
Sayari.
Sayari.
sir.
Thank you po sa ating
Thank you
moderator
very
din. Marami,
much.
lumabo na ata.
Oh, okay na?
So ayun lang po. Just announcement, meron sinasagot ko, I'm still answering all queries po dun sa regarding dun sa mga evaluation and all. So after this po, I'll try to still answer those questions. Bukas po, yung mga sir, yung bukas po, ano tayo? Ano naman po tayo? Same time, May 8, 3 to 5 p.m. Our topic is on transportation engineering specialization, and very good din po yung topic by Dr. Noriel Christopher Tiglao. It's about rebooting public transport for the new normal, imperatives for information exchange and collaborative governance. So very timely rin po yung topic niya. So again, just register and then join the webinar tomorrow po before 3 p.m. We'll try to start again po on time. And thank you po ulit sa pag-attend nyo dito. And for the closing, Resbong.
Sir Eric, thank you.
Can I say something muna?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Hi,
Ma'am,
a pleasant, yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yan po tantong video. All right. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. A pleasant good afternoon, dear colleagues. My sincere congratulations to the leadership of PICE, led by President Bong Suero, and to the chairman of the ISG, Eric Season, for the successful fourth day of webinar lectures. Thank you for bringing right to our doorstep valuable information, which I believe enhanced our competencies. To the lecturers from engineers Robinson Salenga II, Francis de los Reyes, Adrian Madrazo, and today my good friend Renzi. Hi. And also I would like to thank, advance ko na yung thank you ko for tomorrow kay Dr. Tiglao, and then on Saturday for Engineer Adam Abinales. I would like to address this to my co-civil engineers. With or without CPD units, I would like to encourage you to really participate in these webinars and take advantage of the seminars that PICE, the association, is giving you, because we are now in the era of specialization due to globalization. So I hope by Saturday, maabot natin yung 500 slots, which you have made available. Yesterday, it was 323. Today, it's 358, I think. So, napakaganda ng webinar. And I have reported this also to PRC, that this is part of our CPS program, and that we are really into our 6 tracks of specialization. Yun lang. And then, stay safe, everyone. And again, a pleasant Thursday afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you po,
much.
ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay. So, thank you, ma'am. And busog na naman yung mga civil engineers, no? Mga PICE members natin, because of we have learned, no? Today from our very experienced speaker, no? Si Dr. Renzi Padernal.
Salamat po.
So,
Thank
sir,
you po.
thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. And also to our moderator, nagkamali pala ako kanina, ano? Si Dr. Donamel Sayari. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. My pleasure and honor po.
And sa uulitin.
Yes, sir. Pwede na ako susunod, sir. Ako na po yung magtoto.
And also to Ma'am Praxi for really
Yeah.
here with us, no? This afternoon for the 4 days already. May 2 araw pa po. Also to the members of the PICE National Board, and the Secretariat, and of course to everyone out there Salamat, maayong sa malaking talagang thumbs up for all of us. So also I would like again to reiterate our request yung sa National Board to all our members na to register in our ongoing membership information update campaign. So just log in to the link provided in our PIC Facebook account and also at our website, no? So that you can register, or you may also ask your chapter officers for that link. We need your profile updates so that we can easily contact you all, no? And it is also for our membership portal. Now just update through the link and you can also win prizes because
Wow.
we have also prizes, no? Raffle prizes every week. So actually it's free, it's free for all our live and regular members. Free to update your account there, no? And of course to our new civil engineers, yung mga civil engineers na who wants to join PICE, you may also visit the link. But may babayaran doon, no? Because you're a new member. So please be counted and register now so that we can serve you better, no? Our PIC members. So lastly, on behalf of the PIC National Board of Directors, again, I wish you a holy, a healthy, and a happy life ahead. Thank you very much and always be proud to be a Filipino civil engineer. And, yun palang sinasabi ni Dr. Renzi, yung Department Order, DPWH Department Order number 35, series of 2020, no? Na-sign lang yun ni Secretary Mark
This Monday.
May 4, 2020. It's about the construction safety guidelines for the implementation of all DPWH infrastructure projects during the COVID-19 public health crisis. So we will also be uploading it in our Facebook account and in the website, okay? So also maybe we can send the link also. We can also send this to your siguro Sir Eric, to the documents to be emailed back to our participants.
Isabay na lang po natin press dito yung sa materials for this webinar.
Yeah. Materials for this one, isabay na rin natin. Okay, but we will upload it dun sa Facebook natin saka sa website. Okay, so thank you very much to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you
Palakpakan.
po. See you
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Salamat.